My topic is marketing ethics in detail explained, and let's go to the topic and let's go to the start. Marketing ethics refer to the moral principles applied to the execution of marketing strategies and tactics. In other words, the use of ethical guidelines to ensure that marketing practices are fair, truthful, and socially responsible. This includes considerations of transparency, privacy, respect for individual and social and responsibility. It is important for businesses to uphold ethical in their practices to build and maintain trust with their customers and the broader public. Unethical marketing practices lead to negative consequences for the company and its customers. Some examples of unethical marketing practices include false advertising, deceptive pricing, and switch tactics, misleading product claims, and targeting vulnerable populations. Companies engage in such practices may damage their and lose the trust into their customers. On the other hand, businesses that prioritize marketing practices can build relationships with their customers, attract new customers, and establish themselves as in their industry. By upholding ethical guidelines, can demonstrate their commitment, social responsibility, promote a positive image of their brand in the eyes of the public. Ultimately, ethics about balancing the interests of the company with those of the consumers and society at large, and align marketing practices with broader values and principles. In summary, marketing ethics is an essential of modern business practices. It requires businesses consider the impact of their marketing strategies on consumers and broader society. By promoting transparency and social responsibility, businesses can build and maintain trust with their customers and themselves as socially conscious entities. As such, it is important for businesses to prioritize marketing practices, incorporate ethical guidelines into decision-making process to ensure long-term success and prosperity. Furthermore, the rise in technological advancements, businesses must also consider the ethical implications of data-driven marketing strategies. They must ensure customers is protected and information is collected in an ethical and transparent manner. Companies must also be aware of the potential for bias in algorithms and marketing tools and work to mitigate these risks. Overall, marketing ethics is about doing right thing by all involved: customers, employees, the community, and the businesses prioritize ethics in their practices. They not only benefit themselves, but they contribute to better and more sustainable. Marketing ethics are a set of moral principles that guide a company's promotional activities. Organizations that establish and implement marketing ethics are typically trying to respect the rights, desires and expectations of consumers. While business leaders seek to generate operational revenue and earn profits, they may also prioritize the goals of practicing integrity, honesty and fairness. A company's philosophy of ethics often relates to its organizational mission. Usually, C-level executives, directors and high-level managers are responsible for creating and enforcing these guidelines. The idea of marketing ethics is similar to the concept of corporate social responsibility, CSR. This term refers to the notion that businesses have certain obligations to fulfill in regards to the public and the company's stakeholders. CSR typically emphasizes the importance of integrating social and environmental concerns into business goals and practices. For example, organizations practicing CSR may highlight their commitment treating and paying employees fairly, sourcing sustainable materials, caring for the environment, making charitable donations, addressing social issues. Marketing ethics is one of the most effective long-term branding, word-of-mouth, and trust-building strategies for optimizing the presence, leads, sales, and conversions of a product or service. Marketing ethics revolves around those principles of ethical marketing and standards that guide acceptable marketing conduct. Marketing ethics are the marketing practices of promoting fairness, social responsibility, empathy, and honesty by following ethical standards. From marketing tactics to marketing decisions and advertising of products and services, all the ethical marketing practices focus not only on how products would benefit users but also on how they fulfill social responsibility and handle different ethical issues. Honesty is key when it comes to marketing. Make sure you don't deceive your audience with false or overstated claims. By providing customers with comprehensive and accurate information, they can make an informed decision that suits their needs. Safeguarding customer data and upholding their privacy is of utmost importance. Refraining from pressuring consumers into buying something they don't need or want is essential for a successful business. Respecting vulnerable audiences such as minors and those struggling financially by refraining from marketing to them. While making marketing communications and strategies, pay heed to environmental and social responsibility and business ethics. Consumers reap numerous advantages from this philosophy, whether it be environmental or social. It does more than merely provide a strategy, it is an instrumental part of the company's success as well as its consumers. Through ethical marketing, organizations deliberately apply different sets of moral rights and fairness standards when marketing their products and services, practices, and behavior in the overall structure. These organizations can then develop a competitive advantage over time, thereby satisfying the organization's needs and customers. Ultimately, while unethical marketing can potentially succeed in the short term, it's not a good long-term strategy. Over time, customers will distrust your brand as a whole, and you'll find it difficult to find brand advocates who are willing to spread awareness about your product or service through word-of-mouth marketing. In short, unethical marketing will make your job as a marketer much harder in the long run, not easier. Here, let's explore the critical role ethics plays in modern marketing, and leadership as a whole, and how you can ensure you're following best practices to create ethical solutions to all your marketing challenges. The Markkula Center for Applied Ethics defines ethics as two things. First, ethics refers to well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, or specific virtues. Ethical standards also include those that enjoin virtues of honesty, compassion, and loyalty. The Markkula Center for Applied Ethics adds, ethics also refers to the study and development of one's ethical standards. As mentioned above, feelings, laws, and social norms can deviate from what is ethical. So it is necessary to constantly examine one's standards to ensure that they are reasonable and well-founded. One of the easiest ways to promote ethics in a business sense, of course, is to ensure it's instilled in your company's culture and values. However, it's important to note, it's not enough just to have a set of values and mission statement. Truly ethical companies need to live out these values every day, as noted in this article about core values by HBR. To further investigate what this means in practice, I spoke with Joan Harrington, the Director of Social Sector Ethics at the Markkula Center for Applied Ethics. Harrington told me, the key to integrating ethics in organizations is leadership. The leadership must set the example by living the organizational values and incorporating them into all aspects of the business. So having a code of ethics or a set of values in a handbook is not enough to shape an ethical culture. Harrington adds, employees need to be trained on, or at least exposed to, how to make ethical decisions. Ethics is not about what you think is right versus what I think is right. It is how we, in all of our different relationships, ought to behave. Marketing ethics serve as moral principles and values that should be followed during marketing communication. They are the guidelines that let companies decide about their new marketing strategies. But also keep in mind that it depends on one's judgment of right and wrong. Any unethical behavior is not necessarily unlawful. For example, if a company makes any claims about its products and cannot live up to those claims, it may be called unethical behavior. Marketing ethics fosters fairness and honesty in all advertisements. Any fraudulent claims to the customers, intruding on consumers' privacy, stereotyping, and targeting the vulnerable audience, like children and elderly, are deemed unethical. Even trying to damage the competitor's image is considered immoral. Ethical marketing refers to a marketer's obligation to ensure all marketing activities stick to core ethics principles, involving integrity, making for a product or service, humility, and honesty both internally and externally. Our economic system has become adequate at providing wants and needs for the public with time. This has turned the market's primary focus toward ethical values while serving customers' needs. This is mainly due to two reasons. When there is ethical behavior from the organization's side, there is a more powerful positive public attitude to different services and goods. However, to make their efforts valid to the general public, they must stick to specific marketing standards. In addition, ethical bodies and organizations manage to pressurize and hold organizations and companies responsible for their actions. As a result, there is a lot of inquiry and sets of guidelines, which have to be strictly followed. Ethics in marketing plays a crucial role in ethical decision-making for a product or service's optimized presence in its target niche. An ethical marketing technique is liable for paying heed to different factors such as organizational aspects such as culture, norms, values, and opportunity, individual factors such as righteous philosophies and values, stakeholder interests and concerns. The intensity of ethical issues in marketing and organization setup. Ethical decision-making. Evaluation of ethical outcomes. For instance, your marketing team hires a design agency for a new marketing campaign. However, halfway through the campaign, your team finds the agency doesn't treat its workers lawfully and doesn't align well with your values in terms of environmental and social responsibility. It's in your best interest to stop working with the agency as soon as possible and realign yourself with agents that uphold the same standards you've established for your team internally. Equally important, of course, is the public-facing element of ethical marketing. Additionally, ethical marketing also implies treating workers reasonably, employing sustainable materials, and doing your part to help environmental or social causes that feel vital to your brand. Most ethics discussions revolve around moral values of good and bad, right and wrong, which can vary significantly depending on your spiritual, religious, and cultural backgrounds. To reconcile these variations and find a definition of ethics which is most compatible with varying morals, we'll look at a perspective called utilitarian ethics, a perspective suggested by philosophers such as John Stuart Mill. Utilitarianism defines ethical practices as those practices that result in the greatest good and/or the greatest happiness for all. Thus, adapting this definition, ethics is to market in ways which create the greatest good, the greatest happiness for all. Achieving our marketing goals by making outrageous claims that earn clicks or leads, but making the lives of our sales and customer service teams miserable. Achieving our marketing goals by marketing and selling a product that causes more harm than good. Achieving our marketing false claims but damaging our relationships with the media, with the public, or with government officials. Achieving our marketing goals by polluting or destroying the environment around us. Achieving our marketing goals by using data to target vulnerable customers and amplifying negative emotions to compel them to buy our product. Achieving our marketing goals by spreading or amplifying false information to create emotional reactions in our ads. When we use our utilitarian definition of ethics, clear, concise definition, applying ethics in marketing becomes straightforward. First and foremost, does our product or service result in greater harm than good? If so, then we will have an awfully hard time marketing it using ethical practices because its very existence is harmful. In a situation where our product or service is inherently harmful, we should probably find work elsewhere. This is something I struggled with for years when I was working in the student loan industry. Ultimately, my solution was to try to get people to do everything possible not to use our product, but then offer them the product as a last resort and educate them on the consequences of it. In the end, however, I ended up leaving the field to work somewhere else. Second, many marketing practices have little to no ethical impact. For example, much ado was made of the fact that a notable social media influencer didn't write all of their own social media posts. Other social media practitioners decried that as inauthentic. Is the use of a ghostwriter ethical? If the posts were helpful, if the posts provided value, then the practice was ethical in the sense that it was doing the maximum good possible, even if the influencer wasn't writing a single one. All that was required was that the authors of his posts were creating the maximum amount of good, as much or more than the influencer. If the influencer could only afford to write 2 posts a day that benefited his audience, but his ghostwriter could write 10 of the same quality, then by definition he brought 5x more good to the world. Third, some marketing practices are clearly unethical. For example, if we lie about what our product does and the consumer ends up finding out the reality after purchase, we're creating unhappiness. We're doing harm. If we tell the truth about our product or service and set realistic expectations, our customers will be happier because we meet their expectations. Behaving in an ethical manner is the cornerstone of long-term profitability. Create more happiness rather than less, do more good rather than less, and it's inevitable that people will want our product in their lives more. Finally, remember that the definition and ideal to strive for is to do the greatest good possible, which means minimizing or eliminating harm when and where possible. What if we're confronted with a situation where a small amount of harm is generated, or significant harm to a tiny number of people, and a large amount of good result? Our goal is to explore ways to remove that harm, and to find a better way to achieve the same result with less harm done. What if marketing adopted the Hippocratic Oath, first, do no harm? How would your marketing change? If we set our goals to require that we create the maximum amount of good possible, there's a strong chance that we'll create innovative new ways of doing the same old things. That eventually leads to transformation of our products, services, practices, and company, a transformation that we will be proud of, proud to market as loudly as possible to the world. Do enough good, create enough happiness, and the world will want us to win. Ethical marketing is a technique that highlights a company's values, honesty, transparency, responsibility, or adherence to fair trade principles, as a promotional strategy. These companies communicate their business ethics in marketing materials to reach target audiences with similar principles. While ethical marketing teams focus on advertising a product or service and making a profit, they aim to do so while upholding their ethical standards. In contrast, unethical marketing emphasizes profit at the expense of all other criteria. Unethical marketing tactics include communicating to customer bases with false claims, unsolicited advertisements, scare tactics, or slandering competitors with unverified claims. Fairness: establishing fairness as a decision-making principle means companies commit to fair prices, better wages, and sustainable development. Honesty: a cornerstone of ethical behavior is honesty. Honest companies use marketing communications to provide factual and unexaggerated information about the functionality and impact of their products and services. They advertise without attempting to mislead. Responsibility: businesses may emphasize their responsibility in several ways, including their obligation to provide a reliable product or service, support social causes, give back to communities, treat their employees with respect, or protect the environment through sustainable practices. Transparency: in business, transparency means being open to the public about your company's operations, particularly the ethical way you treat employees and the sustainability and environmental impact of your products or services. Many ethical companies engage in significant charitable giving programs, donating money or goods to social causes and initiatives with a positive impact. An example of a charitable giving campaign is a one-to-one program built into the business model. The company donates one product to charity for every product they sell. A common ethical marketing strategy is to advertise the company's fair business practices on product pages. The site may give an inside look at the production process, like a factory or office space, or provide accurate numbers about the product's minimal environmental impact. This aims to establish brand loyalty and make customers feel proud about supporting a company that works hard to be ethical. Many companies work to show their ethical practices by being responsible and outspoken online about social and ethical issues. This marketing decision emphasizes the company as an ethical brand with a sense of social responsibility that customers want to support. Thank you for watching the video and subscribe the channel.